Your voice is a magnificent gift. It has the power to change you and your life. You use your voice all the time and never give it a second thought. In my work as a voice coach, people would say to me, "Oh, Cynthia, a powerful voice is a good thing to have. A powerful voice is more than a good thing to have. And voice is also beyond important. Voice is powerful. There is no other sound that's more powerful than the human voice. It can start or stop a war, make or break a bond, motivate or demoralize people. It stirs your thought and evokes your emotion. When you hear a familiar sound, a familiar voice, it may get you into all kinds of reactions. When I hear a voice that sounded like my critical dad, it gets me all tensed up. Well, when I hear a voice that sounded like my mom, I feel more relaxed. It is not only the words we say through our voice, but also the pure sounds we make, the laughter of joy, the cry of despair, the sigh of relief, and the groan of pain. They all profoundly affect us and people around you. What most people know about voice is only the tip of the iceberg. I hear people often say to me, "Oh, the tone of the voice is important." Well, when I talk about voice work, it goes way more than just tone of the voice or tonality. Tone of the voice is the kindergarten knowledge in voice work. When we work on your voice, we work on, for example, the placement of your voice, which is where you are projecting your voice from. And you will find out more in this talk. We also talk about the alignment inside of you and the congruence inside and outside of you. There is so much more you can also hear in a person's voice. For example, we can hear in your voice who you were, who you are, and who you could become. What else can we hear in a person's voice? Well, here are some of the simple things that you may know and you may be able to hear in a person's voice. The first one is geographic origin. And that's why people from different places speak with different accents. And I speak with a different accent from you. And you will know that we are from different origins. The other thing that we can tell from a person's voice is the educational background. Well, since you are young, you may not have watched this movie, which is My Fair Lady. And you can check it out. It is played by Audrey Hepburn. So in this movie, in the beginning, she played a character, and the way she talked reflected her uneducated background. And later, she was led on her way to change the way she talked. And of course, we can also hear experience through a person's voice. But these are all three simple things you can hear in a person's voice. We can also hear your current state. For example, your physical, your mental, your emotional state. When you are well versus when you are sick, you sound different. And that's why if you were not sick, but you wanted to call in sick, you must make sure that you sound different. And when you are nervous versus when you are calm, you sound different. Especially when you are nervous. Your voice trembles. Your pitch goes high. And your voice was out of control. So voice reflects everything that is happening in you, which sounds scary because sometimes when I talk about this, people stopped talking to me. And you can also tell your emotional state. When you are happy, when you are angry, when you are sad, you sound different. So this is a reflection of you, the current you. But the voice can also reflect what happened to you, who you were, and that is your past. All the traumas, all the wounds, for example, you have experienced, they are all stored in your voice. And they didn't go anywhere. They were stored in your voice. For example, have you heard someone speaking in this way when they're speaking as if that the voice is not supported and the voice sounds very dry? This might be you. And that kind of voice also reflects some of the unresolved issues. Or another voice, like this voice. When someone is speaking, it sounds very normal, right? This voice sounds very normal. But what impression do you have when someone speaks in this way? And the impression you may have is this person is closed, is not willing to engage. So it also shows something happened in the past. Or another voice, which is so common nowadays, and it happened probably, I would say, from my experience, happens to 80% of the population worldwide. And that voice is this kind of voice. Can you hear any difference from the way that I have been speaking? If you can hear the difference, nod your head so I know that you can hear the difference. Thank you. And what difference did you hear? This voice, the pitch goes a bit high and the quality is thin. And this voice, you actually have seen that in so many people, and probably you are also one of them. And I cannot continue because it doesn't feel comfortable. So that voice is the result of our success-driven society. And that voice, what I also call is the head voice. Because you hear the voice is all in the head, right? And the head voice is the result of thinking, doing, analyzing, living in your head. And you will find out more what happened to that head voice, or what happened to the 80% of our population worldwide. But now you know that voice reflects everything about you. And even if you try hard to hide, the voice never lies. But don't be afraid to talk to me. And so that's how much you can tell from a person's voice. And the good news is, voice also shows you the doorway to change that. And the 80% of the population living in the head voice, and that's why you'll notice that no matter how much that we have achieved, we just don't feel fulfilled. And the happiness in almost every country, the rate is very low. Because when you are speaking and living in your head, you are cut off from the whole you. You are literally cutting off from your own body. So if you can discover your whole voice and reconnect with yourself, the problems would be solved. And people living in the ancient times, they knew better. They understood the power of our voices. When people worked together, they sang together. And when they sang together, the power of unity kept them going. Well, now, how often do we sing together? It perhaps happened when you were singing national anthems. But that brief moment of singing together, the power of unity, made you feel something. Ancient people also used the voices to educate and entertain. They told stories to pass on the history, often without written words. In some of the American Indian tribes, even today, they still not use the written words because they believe if words were written, the power is lost. Well, nowadays, we'd rather write or type than speak. If we can type, we will not speak. If we have to speak, we would use abbreviations like OJ, TJ, MJ. What else, J? And in early ages, in drama, all the actors, they would wear a mask. And we could only identify the characters by listening to their voices. And that's where the word persona means. Persona literally is per through sound. Persona, which is personality through sound. And that's why you will find that no another person on the planet will sound exactly the same as you. Well, you may be able to impersonalize some people or some celebrities, but when you listen to the nuances in the voice, there is still a big distinction. Because voice is representing who you were, who you are, and who you could become. Voice is not just something tripped from the back of your mouth. It is something that has every essence of you and every possibility of you. So you see, voice is not only reflecting the past, the present you, but also it reflects the possible, the potential you. So voice is the doorway to help you empower yourself. And when you start to develop the power, you will find that you'll feel different. Not only your voice will sound different, you will also feel different. And why is it that the ancient people knew better? Even with the technology advancement, we as the modern people have forgotten about the power of the voice. Well, we have mentioned a little bit just now, because nowadays, especially over the past 20 years, getting busy and busy and driven by success after another success, we have been living in the head. And in the head, there is analyzing, thinking, doing. And we have become more and more of a human doing instead of a human being. And when you are focusing too much on doing, analyzing, thinking, you lost touch with the rest of your body. You are living in your head. And that is showing up in your voice as well. Your voice becomes a head voice. And that's also why that people are not feeling fulfilled, even with so much success they have achieved. Because you are disconnected from yourself. And when you are disconnected from yourself, you are disconnected from people around you. So voice is the doorway to help you mend the disconnection, establish the realignment, and build congruence. Just like most people, I was also conditioned in this success-driven society, and I had a head voice as well. I had a voice that was disconnected with my whole self. On my journey to discover the solutions to be more assertive, to speak up, I accidentally developed my whole voice. And that's where I realized not only I sounded more confident, but also I felt more confidence. And my influence also grew. In self-empowerment, you realize that most people have been working on the mind to have a mind that's strong, resilient, persistent. And we also work on our body to be fit, flexible, and strong. Heck, we even work on our image to look professional. But how much attention was given to the development of the speaking voice? Unfortunately, most voice-related programs are on singing. The more I do my work, the more I felt a sense of responsibility. And I have taken on it as my mission to help you rediscover and remember the power of your voice and experience the transformation it can bring to you, so that your confidence can soar, your influence can grow, and you can live a life that's true to yourself. You can live a life that's connected, that's aligned. And you, most of all, you can live a life that's fulfilled. Thank you.